What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with Tesla SPY and a couple of other tickers. I want to break down what's happening with the overall market moving forward and some big news about a new advertisement that came out for Tesla and what this means for the future. But before I begin the devil's information, before I get into any more details, just remember that I am not a financial planner. Make sure you take nothing I say as financial advice. And don't forget about the Weeble link. The offer ends very soon. If you deposit $500, you're guaranteed 20 free stocks. And once again, the offer is over in just about 12 hours. Anyways, when it comes to the market right now, we had a very, very interesting day. We saw SPY get this very, very strong pump all the way up towards that 547 area. I mentioned to you all that if we broke through that and held it, we could have had potential to pump more. But if we got a rejection, we'd be dipping right back down to where we started. I mentioned to everyone as well that I did favor this being a fake pump and us getting a rejection for more potential downside. And so far, that's what's been happening. SPY is once again continuing to downtrend. We pumped and dumped, and overall, excuse me, SPY is still relatively weak. So as a result of that, Tesla had a very, very similar pattern. Tesla basically pumped all the way up to 185. Once that broke, we went up to 188, only to reject back down to 183. And now we're just shuffling between 183 and 185, going back and forth and back and forth. But overall, I am seeing some weakness, at least on Tesla. So Tesla kind of like pumped a bit only to return, and now it's just kind of trading sideways within this range. So there is some weakness, at least on Tesla, in my personal opinion. Is it enough weakness for Tesla to start crashing? Not necessarily, but we're not necessarily breaking out or anything like that. We're just still in this sideways range, and we're going to be waiting to see some new big catalysts. So another big catalyst is going to be Tesla's deliveries. I can't wait to see what Tesla announces then. There's also some news coming out that Tesla is talking about how it has a day in a Giga Berlin advertisement video that came out. Now, this is actually something very interesting because basically Tesla had shared a new video advertising its manufacturing page. This is actually highlighting the day for workers in the Giga Berlin. And the reason why this is important is because this could give people more insights on what happens with, these workers throughout the entire day at the Gigafactory, and also it can incentivize more people to just apply and get better ideas about that. So it's very cool stuff. Gives people more insights on what it's like working there, and people are very excited about that. I think it's very cool too. It shows the cafeteria and a bunch of other things like that, and also food trucks outside and a bunch of really cool things. So it's worth noting. The reason why this is important is because it gives Tesla more and more potential to advertise, get more exposure out there, and things like that. But now the question remains: is Tesla going to be investing in advertising? I just want to say that this is just one little ad. There's nothing that's confirmed of them, spending like 1% of their revenue or something like that on advertising or anything like that. Nothing's confirmed yet, but I do believe Tesla's open to that possibility. I think that one thing I want to see is what their Q2 numbers look like. If Tesla still manages to crush it, then they could, they won't be as incentivized to advertise as much. But if they don't have the best of numbers, then I think that the best move would be to just invest a little bit into them to at least inform more and more people about their capabilities. I also want to note that a lot of people don't know about the true capacity and the true capabilities of FSD. And by advertising, they can actually provide a lot more knowledge, a lot more insights, and that could help them get a lot more sales. So I think that it would be a good move to advertise. This isn't confirming a massive sum of advertisements for Tesla yet, so we'll see how it goes. But now let's just talk about the market. So Tesla's very sideways. You guys can see that we had this 185 and 188 resistance, support at 183. I've been stuck going back and forth and back and forth. We're also kind of stuck in the 183 to 185 range. So I think there's a good chance that Tesla will remain range bound for now, not really do anything too crazy, at least for the rest of the day. However, as we get closer to the end of the week, we could see some more upside because I think there's going to be some excitement approaching Tesla's delivery numbers. And I think that there's a good chance we're going to see a massive move as soon as we start next week. So, exactly 1 week from now, once deliveries come out. So, I can't wait for that. For SPY, I just want to mention that SPY kind of pumped to 547. We're still back down, still stuck in 544. So we're still looking a little bit more bearish on SPY. The reason for this is because when you look at the overall trend, we were on this nice uptrend all the way up towards this 550 area. So we had this high here, we came down, we made a lower high, and we're continuing to fall. And there's a risk of this continuing to fall all the way down to 540. So you guys can see the trend is starting to turn a little bit more bearish. The trend is a little bit more on the bearish side. We pumped and dumped, and we were respecting a downtrend. I think that SPY could dip a little bit more, at least moving forward from here. So this is looking more bearish. If we end up losing 543, I think there's going to be a much bigger drop coming. So I'll be watching to see how well we hold. As of right now, we're seeing some buyers trying to defend it, but like I said before, the bears are still the ones who have a bigger edge. So I think that's what's more favorable For Nvidia, we've dipped quite a bit. We're on a bit of a downtrend as well. We got this big rejection. I think that this could continue to fall towards the 118 area. Losing that opens the doors for about 115, then eventually this gap fill to 110. So there is more downside potential on Nvidia. We got this big rejection, and that's part of why the market's actually getting dragged down. Bitcoin got a big rejection. We're at 60,000 as support. If we lose that, then I'll be looking at 58,000, then 56,500. I see more downside for Bitcoin. I think 60,000, excuse me, 60,000 will be tested and eventually broken. So I do favor that. For the QQQ, we're looking a bit more bearish, but just know on the 4 hour time frame, we're watching at 474.23 as support. If we lose this, we'll be dipping all the way down to lower levels. If we hold this, we could consolidate for a bit. I think for now it's going to consolidate just for a little bit, but then there is a risk of us losing this and eventually coming down to fill the gap on the QQQ. When you pull up the daily time frame, you will see where the gap happens to be. Right over here, we have this gap on the QQQ on the daily time frame at this 468 area. So there's a very good chance we will eventually come back down. So just be mindful of that, that there is still a risk of more downside in the future for the next couple of days. For super micro, we're still looking a little bit more bearish as well. If we continue to fail to hold support, we have this imbalance to fill. I think that we could be dipping all the way down there. And I also think that we're going to be testing 820 again, then 800, then eventually 780. So I see a bit more downside potential. For the IWM Russell 2000, we have a 202 as resistance. If we break through this, we could be pushing up for 204. If we reject here, we'll be dipping lower. It's actually showing some strength compared to the market, so we could be looking for 204. For AMD is just kind of flat, it's like a pancake going back and forth and back and forth. Range trading between a 116 and 162.5. It's going to likely remain range bound for the day. For Amazon, we're dipping a little bit. Make sure you watch 186 as support. If we lose this, I'll be looking at 184. It looks a little bit weaker to me. I think it's going to dip lower later on. And Coinbase is also looking a bit more bearish. We could be dipping lower on coin all the way down towards 205 if we end up losing 210. So it looks a little bit more bearish. Meta, if we lose 496, watch 494, then eventually the levels like 490. So I'm seeing some weakness there. Microsoft's going to be looking for a test of about 446. If that fails us, we'll be dipping lower. But I'm seeing some weakness right here, at least on the 4 hour. I see a bearish divergence. And then for Google, I see some more downside potential towards 179. So I'll be watching just to see how things end up developing. Two more. GameStop's looking kind of weak, still range bound, not really doing much. And then AMC also has more downside potential for 4.3 to fill its gap down below. With that being said, guys, the market is still in a very, very critical place. Tesla's continuing to remain range bound, and SPY once again has a risk of more downside alongside the QQQ and other ETFs. So I just wanted to put this all out there. As far as Tesla's advertising goes, I think that that would be a good move for Tesla, but I would love to see what their Q2 deliveries numbers look like for confirmation. I want to wait and see how that goes, and then we'll see how things end up developing from there. But with that being said, thank you for listening. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys very soon, just a few hours. Take care, guys, and peace out.